Welcome everyone. It is 5:15 and the City Council meeting of Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016 will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, we were going to recognize Officer Tony Conkler on his retirement. You could step forward, please. I have a plaque for you, sir. Congratulations on your retirement. This is for you for serving the City of Carroll from July 1988 through February 29th, 2016. Thank you for your service and appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. You bet.
Tony's worked for us for 28 years. He's got 44 years in law enforcement, I believe. 44, is that right? 42 years.
Only 42.
Only 42. He's officially retired on Monday the 29th, and we're going to welcome all you guys to an open house at 3 o'clock that day if you wish to come. It'll be downstairs in the lobby, so kind of a great honor just to congratulate him on his way out, and years of service will leave out the door that day too, so I wish him best of luck in retirement.
Please note all council are in attendance. We will review the consent agenda, which includes approval of the minutes of the February 4th and 8th meetings, approval of bills and claims, licenses and permits, which includes the renewal of a Class C beer permit for Carroll Can Redemption, renewal of a Class B liquor license with Sunday sales and outdoor service for Charlie's Steakhouse, the Swizzle Stick Lounge in Carrollton Center, the acceptance of a tobacco settlement agreement, and reappointment of Civil Service Commissioner Todd Bureau. Seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Base?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Do we have any oral requests and communications from the audience this evening? If not, we'll we'll move to the next one, is a potential real estate gift from Commercial Savings Bank. And Pat, would you like to speak, please?
I would, thank you.
Thank you.
Some of you might not know me. My name is Pat Moen. I'm chairman of the Commercial Savings Bank here in Carroll. Also in attendance tonight is Paul Milligan, president of our bank, as well as Ryan, vice president, and my sister and Paul's wife, Tamara, who is also a part owner in the building we're going to be talking about this evening. So we as a family have been following the progress of the library and various proposals for a new library, a remodeled library, at one point lease space for a library for a number of years. And we've been following the stumbling blocks that various proposals have run into, and probably as one might expect, I kind of conclude that part of the problem and the concerns were the cost of these projects. That's generally at the root to a lot of problems and so forth. Because of the growth of our bank in recent years, we've had substantial growth, plus quite a number of changes in banking procedures. We find that we as a bank are in need of more space. That means we either have to build a new bank or remodel and expand the one that we have. So the idea came to us that perhaps we could solve both the city's library problems and space needs and our own space need at the same time by donating our present bank building to the city to be used for library expansion purposes. Originally, I thought maybe our bank could become the new library. And then I discovered that actually our bank isn't as large as the library board and people connected with the library would like. It wouldn't add that much additional space to the library. So then we came up with the, and plus, in addition, we were informed that really a great number of people in the Carroll community like this location for the library. So that was a big influence also. So then we came up with the idea of perhaps moving City Hall to our bank building, which would allow the library to expand into the place vacated by City Hall. And this would give the library the space they need, I think satisfy all the needs that they've requested. Plus it would also add additional space to for City Hall, because I think our bank building is a bit larger than City Hall. And this has some tremendous advantages for the city, because you would not need to change the footprint of either building. Some interior changes, yes, but you can move interior walls and things like that at a cost much less than blowing out walls, building new additions to buildings, and then trying to line things up, and oftentimes they don't work as well as imagined anyway. And as far as our bank building is concerned, there are very, very few bearing walls in the entire building, so it would be a kind of a slam dunk and relatively inexpensive. It's my understanding that the Library Foundation has already conducted an extensive fundraising program, and that they have funds available that they can put towards this project. And they have told me that they feel very confident that they can do additional fundraising and raise enough money to basically cover the entire cost of moving the library into the expanded City Hall part of this building. I'm not on that foundation board, so I'm just repeating what I've been told. I would encourage you to talk, and you probably have to the people who are on that foundation and get those words from the horse's mouth rather than passed on by me. Obviously, our family is very supportive of an expanded library and the programs that could be created. If we weren't, I certainly wouldn't be here tonight. I have a sister, Pam, who lives in Denver. She also is part owner of the building that we're talking about, and she has spent her lifetime in education. As an educator, she's been a principal, she's been a teacher, she's been a proponent for programs for the gifted, and she's been an educational speaker and a teacher for a number of Fortune 500 companies. She has her PhD in dealing with advanced programs in education, and she says really that the term library today is somewhat outdated and that they should be referred to as educational centers. She can point to a number of progressive communities that have made the investment in expanded libraries and this type of thing, and an investment in ongoing educational programs, and she feels that the rewards for this investment for citizens of all ages is very substantial in these communities. And I certainly agree with her, and I feel that those who are able to avail themselves of these types of programs will have a decided advantage going forward, especially in the job market. There was a recent report that came out, I believe it was from Harvard, but I can't say for sure, but it was one of our major universities, that pointed to the importance of reading today. It points to the need for increased comprehension and communication skills, and how reading is so very important to developing these skills. We live in a very changing environment today, and probably what we know today is far less important than the ability to learn and communicate new ideas. That is certainly what people are looking for in the job market. I have just met your library director a little while ago, and I'm very impressed with the things that she is doing, the things that are going on in your library. But I would think that an expanded library and the things that the library board has talked about could be fantastic. I envision expanded literary society, expanded book club activity, book signings, lectures, numerous things like this that would be limited only by one's imagination. A place where all of our citizens can go to events and programs that would be fun and exciting, and every bit as attractive for our students, for our senior citizens, and everybody else as going to a football game or going to a gymnasium. I had an opportunity, and I do feel that it would be quite easy to get sponsors for all kinds of programs in a library like this. I know they do that in other places. I know my wife goes to a literary society that's sponsored by Northern Trust Company, and it's just fantastic, the people they bring in for that event. Carroll has always been a leader. It has been very much admired by other communities in Iowa, and I think this would be another step in maintaining that reputation. I had the opportunity recently of going to San Diego to visit a friend of mine who purchased a condo there. And in the new area of San Diego, it's actually an old area that they've revitalized, they have built this absolutely phenomenal new library. And he couldn't wait to show it to me. Now, most times you go to some place like San Diego, let's go look at the fine dining places, or let's go to the ocean, or let's do this and that. He wanted to take me to the library. And we got there, and that place was absolutely a beehive of activity. There were people among the rows of books, looking at books, taking books. I even found a book that was published by one of my daughters. And there were people on computers. There were people taking classes or having classes there. And it was the most amazing thing that I've seen in a long time, how active and how vibrant that library was. And I can see the same thing happening here in Carroll, especially with the leadership you have with our library director. Now, I think you've got a sheet. Darrell, did you pass out some bullet points to the council?
No, I did not. If you want, I'll go down and get it in my copies.
Okay, well, would you rather I just read it and then you can get copies later?
That's fine.
Sure.
All right, all right. Well, I do have a number of bullet points, some things that would need to be met in order to make our gift happen. We're talking about gifting the property on 627 North Adams Street. That's on the corner of Adams and 7th Street. We are talking about gifting from Adams Street to the alley. And that encompasses our entire main bank, plus I believe 12 parking spaces behind. We also own 2 lots west of the alley. That's where our current motor bank is, and we have employee parking there. If you accept our offer and so forth, we would offer those lots to you also, or at least give you the first right of refusal. You could purchase none, you could purchase 1, or you could purchase 2 of these lots. It's your option. Our building is approximately 8,172 square feet on the above grade, and there's an additional 5,400 square feet in the lower level that is approximately 80% finished. The lower level currently has staff meeting and training rooms. It has an employee break room. It has numerous storage rooms and storage areas. It has a utility room, and it has both men's and women's bathroom. The building is in very good condition. It's been kept up very well, and it has a new HVAC system and a new roof that were both installed in 2011. The tax assessed value of this building was $993,000 prior to the 2015 rollback. Since last year, or since the rollback, the assessed value is $768,000. And I feel that realistically, the value of the building has not changed because of the rollback. That was done primarily to relieve some of the burden on commercial properties, tax burdens, in order to encourage businesses and companies to expand and to build additional facilities, and to try to coerce people from other states to move into Iowa, thereby creating more jobs in the state of Iowa. We will have our own appraisal done for our purposes within 6 months of a transfer, which is required by the IRS, but that's sort of our deal. We will have do have a stipulation that the city cannot sell this property within 5 years of transfer. We are making this offer to expand the library, not to give property to the city to sell and make money on. If we're going to sell it, we can do that ourselves. The city cannot sell the property to another financial institution. We've been at that location since 1957, and we would like to think that we've created a certain amount of goodwill with the citizens of Carroll and the surrounding area, both towards our bank and towards that location, and we would not be very anxious, to be quite frank about it, in passing that on to a competing organization. And as I've said several times, this property would be used by the city only in order to facilitate the expansion of the library. The date of the transfer would be after we move into a new building. And it's our intention to make that happen in approximately 2 years or 24 months. We've talked to architects and contractors and so forth. They estimate it would take us about 6 months to come up with the final drawings, bid proposals and so forth, and then the construction a year to year and a half. So they said 2 years should handle it, but I'm sure you all know how that goes, trying to.
Just to be a little more specific, but I mean, what date, are you thinking like March 1st,
For what?
2018 for the date of transfer? I mean, June, I
Yeah,
guess it would kind of depend on.
Yeah, we could, that could be, we could work with the city, it's when the building is done. Yeah, the day the building's done, we'll move. At that state, we would be prepared to give it to the city.
I'll rephrase it then. When do you expect your building to be done?
The new one?
Yeah.
We hope,
Yeah,
probably the
right,
better.
right.
2 years from basically the date you would say yes.
Okay.
Because the day you said yes, we would immediately hire an architect, and he would begin drawings, which he said would take approximately 6 months. Then we would hire a contractor, or we would be doing that in the process, because we would like the contractor to work with the architect, and we have a way we want to do the project where he manages the project, hires the subs and so forth. We see who the subs are, what they're charging. But we would have the contractor hired probably almost the same time we hire an architect. And they would work together. Hopefully the whole thing could be done within 2 years, but as soon as it was, we'd give the keys to the city. Does that answer your question?
Fair enough.
We would appreciate a response from the city as an indication of your intent by March 14th, which is, I think, your next council meeting. If the city provides its intent to move forward, we would like time to establish bids for our new building in order to ensure that we stay within budget. As I said, we have talked to 4 architect firms. We've talked to a contractor. We have been open with them about our budget. Each of these people assure us that our budget is generous enough that we should have no problems. However, I'm a businessman. I would like to think I'm not stupid, and unconditionally give your building away without something locked in as to what you're going to build, and especially how much it's going to cost, would, to me, be a very poor business decision. Now, I'm not saying we need to know the cost of every doorknob or toilet paper holder, these types of things. But there are major things that we would want locked in such as an HVAC system. We probably use geothermal, probably cement, steel, some things like this that are very expensive. We would like those locked in before we could actually make the final decision, because I don't want to get caught out on a edge of a cliff and no way to get back. That's not going to happen. I'm sure of that, but having said that, we do need to do this according to prudent business. Our bank we are a bank. We're subject to regulatory authority, and we've already talked to the Federal Reserve. We would want to, I'm not sure, maybe, have you talked to the State Department? Well, we've already done that, so I guess that's not an issue. But we need to approval of our regulatory authorities before we do something like this. They approved the purchase of our lot, so I'm sure they're going to approve the purchase of the building that goes on that lot. But they like to be informed as to what's going on, so we do notify them, and that's no big deal. This is a little bit of an unusual situation because we're planning things that are going to happen, between now and 2.5, whatever years in the future. A little bit unusual, but kind of exciting also. For us as a bank and a family to be able to work with the city over this period of time to make something special happen. Next year will be our 100th anniversary as a bank in Carroll. And this we have with Ryan and Kevin Milligan, in the bank. This is our 4th generation. And I'm excited about this because I would like to see the 5th and 6th generations of our family come to Carroll, become part of the banking family, and continue this. I would not be involved in this if this was a short-term program and so forth. So we're looking long-term here. We're looking long-term advantages for our bank. We're looking long-term advantages for the city of Carroll. Over that 100 years, I would like to think that we've never had a crossword with the city, that we've gotten along with every mayor, with every city council, everybody. And we've always been a big supporter of Carroll, and I cannot see that changing in any way. As we went through this process, the city and your engineers, your architects, whoever you might have, would have access to our bank, to do drawings, measurements, whatever they want to do to make this happen. We would like to be a partner with you in making this whole thing happen for you, and just make it something special. And I think it could be, and I would hope that you would accept our basically $1 million offer. So with that, I'll quit, and you can go on with your other business. I am leaving town tomorrow. Paul and Ryan will both be here to answer any questions that you might have, and of course, they know how to get a hold of me if necessary.
Thank you again.
Okay. Yes.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. We will move on to
Mr.
our...
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to get this on record.
Yeah.
With a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the gift of the building from Commercial Savings Bank located at 627 North Adams Street. Basically, the gift to the city of Carroll to direct city staff to research the options in the process and to prepare a report for the city council to be presented on March 14th with the intent of converting the current building or the presented building into city offices in order to expand the current library.
Okay.
Support. I second.
Mike, would you explain again what they will report on?
Basically, the feasibility of is this going to work, what the process would be, chance to work with city attorney to see what the legal process would be. Just to make sure, what I want to do is show that we have intent on researching this, so that way we can give them an answer on the 14th.
Okay, the reason I asked, I wanted to research it, I wondered if you meant to research the cost of the remodel. Is that what you mean?
I don't think we're going to be able to get into that deep, but I think we can research the process to see what it's going to be to entail, what we assume for responsibility once we accept it, and then to start developing plans and options from that point.
I agree. I agree with everything you said, but I think we do need some type of estimates on what we're getting into. We've always done that with all our projects. I'm not asking for anything unusual, and this doesn't have anything to do with their generous offer. But I think when Pat says, well, we should talk to the foundation, I think, and he said that they would fund the entire cost. They must have some idea in mind of what they are going to try to raise. So I think we need, I agree with what you're going for, what is the process, but we also need to look at what we're jumping into as far as costs and operating expenses, all of those things. So we're totally transparent about this, and we're totally, doing our due diligence, as we always do.
And to that point, I think you're exactly right, Carolyn. Gerald, would that process not lay out, as you lay out that process, lay out how we would study the costs?
Well, I'm not sure what the intent is, but this is how I would assume. That we would look at what's the procedure to perfect all of these things that we have here, and then they would be laid out for you. One of those probably would be engaging a firm or firms to estimate what the cost would be in converting both of the facilities.
Gerald, do you have an idea what the timeline would be for you and your staff to come up with that type of information?
Well, I think we can put together a at least preliminary, if not fairly inclusive report by the next meeting, which is two weeks and 6 days from tonight, that we can have a starting point. It may not be totally inclusive of everything that needs to be involved, but at least it examines some of the procedures. What about the building? What about this building? What about the legal processes? What are some of the things? We have to look at the stipulations, see if we can meet all those stipulations, whether we can or can't, what some of the ramifications would be in meeting the stipulations.
Yeah,
Would that
this
cost?
is comprehensive. Maybe what we could do at our next meeting is some type of a broad workshop type of situation where we have specific goals and to be in line with what you're suggesting.
There was, I think you were on, Mike, when Fairway wanted to purchase that property from us, and they wanted it right now, and that took 2 or 3 months to get through all that. And I mean, just to do our due diligence to the community, I think it's fair.
Oh, I agree. I think we need to have some direction to move forward on and at least show intent.
Okay.
We have a lot of questions to answer with this.
Mhm.
And Gerald, I don't know, can you tell us roughly what that timeline would be to go through the entire process, where we would be able to give the bank an answer as to whether we could proceed or not? Is there a window that we could offer?
I would not speculate on that. I would just indicate to you that we can do our research. We'll talk to bond counsel as to what the ramifications are of the process. We go through that. Basically, what it would be is something that says you need to do this, 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 or suggest that these are the things you ought to go through in order to get to making a decision, a final decision.
And that's the intent of the motion that I understand that's on the table right
Right.
now.
Correct.
Right.
Not that we're trying to shortcut anything. We want to get to the place where we can have, say, work sessions
Well-
if we need them and proper studies done.
Well, we always ask, what's it going to, Randy in particular, what's it going to cost? How are we going to pay for it? That's basically always been our approach, so. And then the process also, Mike, good idea.
But we do have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Benami,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Our first ordinance, we'll move on then to ordinances. Our first ordinance is with regards to an amendment to the Parks and Recreational Advisory Board. and Gerald.
Okay, we have had some, what would you say, experiences with, and Jack will be making some comments on this also. We've had some experiences with trying to follow the ordinance as it was originally established. I don't remember the exact year, Jack, 12?
11, 12.
Somewhere along in there. And you will note the things that have been identified for review or change. And most of it has to do with being able to get people to attend monthly meetings. Also, in order to follow the rules, we had times established that were not being followed. And we're obligated, at least we're supposed to be obligated, to follow the rules of the ordinance. So what this does is brings about some possibility of meeting the needs of people who serve on the committees and also achieving the goals that were established for them, which is to advise Jack and the Park and Rec Department. So if you will look at your chapter 24, which I don't know whether it has, no, it doesn't have the adoption date on that. On chapter 24, you will notice that the first suggested change is at where it says May of each year, and then the words are added, or as needed to fill vacant positions. Now, I did address vacant positions somewhere, but didn't say how to do it. Just said that you could fill it. This will be more definitive. David, I think you have reviewed this?
Yes.
Okay. And then change, instead of all members, just say members shall be residents of city, with two exceptions. One's a school, which is not required, and the other one is someone who lives within the county of Carroll. And that's a not required, as stated here, to be filled by a resident outside the city of Carroll. And then because we're moving to a different schedule, we're unable to do June, so we have to do May or July to elect the officers, so we selected May as a suggestion, because that can be done in that time frame. Then the meeting is changed from 7 o'clock to 5:15. Currently been meeting at 4 o'clock. That's acceptable to some, but in recruiting, it can be a challenge to find someone who has the availability to be able to be off early in the afternoon. And then it specifically lists the months, which is every other month, and they're specifically listed so we don't have any confusion about when do you start and when do you close it out. And also, in the absence of a chairperson, they were electing a vice chairperson as stated up above, but the vice chairperson was basically being overstepped and the authority was being given to the appointee of the city manager. So that's the language change there. And then in the final page, over, appointee shall serve no more, it was said 2, and we've changed that to 3 full or partial consecutive terms. The purpose of going to 3 is so that if you have someone who really wants to serve and is engaged, if they, currently the language would say a partial term would qualify as 1 term. So conceivably, you could have some person with 1 year plus 1 term, which would be a rather short service. So those are the recommendations. Jack, you've dealt with this committee much more intimately than I have.
One big thing is we've had a lot of good individuals that just don't live within the city limits that really wanted to serve. And I think that was the big thing. We wanted to have that available so those people in the county, it's 1 person, no more than 1. And if we don't have someone, we'll have a city resident. But that was the big thing. We discussed maybe going to quarterly meetings. I just didn't feel like that was meeting enough. And so we'll try that every other month, see how that goes, make sure we feel like we can accomplish things that we want to get accomplished with 6 times a year.
And this was reviewed with at the last board meeting. Doesn't mean that everyone agreed to what's in this proposal, but all have had a copy of it. I have not received any comments from current members.
No.
And because it might be in the best interest of moving slowly through this process, I would recommend that you approve or you waive 1 reading and not go any further than that, but you can go as far as you wish.
I have one question. Is there a reason, I know it's not required, that just one of our school systems was included in this to be a potential member? You mentioned the Carroll community, or am I reading it wrong?
Correct. They're the only ones that we have arrangement with to exchange facilities.
Okay.
We currently do not have any arrangements with Kemper to
No.
change use of facilities.
Okay,
We have
because
a
they
partnership
rent
with
from
soccer,
the other school.
and we
Okay.
have, the tennis is not an agreement. They just utilize the tennis facility.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? With that, I would ask for a motion, oh, sorry. Somebody say, well, I would ask for a motion to review and waive the first reading of the amended Parks, Recreational, and Cultural Advisory Board.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second to waive the first reading. Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Fleishman?
Yes.
Bays? Yes. Motion is approved.
The next time you will see this in completed form, I think it's already in that form, you will not have the changes noted. It will simply come in the completed form. And it will be ready for adoption.
Okay, next up is resolutions. Our first resolution is in regards to the Industrial Park Sanitary Road Sewer Project in conjunction with the Solid Waste Commission. And Randy, do you have more on that?
I can kind of explain the agreement, which is attached to your memorandum with the Solid Waste Management Commission. The agreement is detailed, of course, but in general terms, it includes the construction of a public gravity sanitary sewer along Industrial Park Road, and then what would be a private, owned by the commission, sanitary force main from their lift station to the public sewer. There are several administrative procedures in the agreement. They're all lined out. In general terms, again, the commission would be the contracting authority under the agreement, and the city would have review authority of the public improvements. There are cost share responsibilities also outlined in both the agreement and the memorandum. I guess the bottom line is there are two project sections, one being the gravity, one being the force main, and then the engineering design fees. Now, the way the costs are determined or distributed in the agreement, for section 1, the gravity sewer is estimated to cost almost $326,000. And of that total, it's distributed about $176,000 to the commission and about $150,000 to the city. Then in section 2, which is the force main, which would be wholly owned by the commission, they pay 100% of the cost of the force main. And the engineering fees and related fees, the commission is absorbing at 100%. So based on estimated costs, the bottom line to the city appears to be about $150,000 for the project. The commission did approve the agreement at their meeting on February 16th. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend the adoption of the resolution approving the agreement with the commission.
So Randy, with the commission being the contract authority, that'll allow just one contract bid for both pieces, right?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes, that would be the plan.
Okay.
That's correct. Any other questions for Randy? If not, I'll need a motion for passage and approval of the resolution approving the joint public improvement agreement with the Carroll County Solid Waste Management Commission for the Industrial Park Road Sanitary Sewer Project 2016.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Bays? Yes. Benami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Fleishner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Our second resolution is in regards to the $915,000 general obligation capital loan notes, Series 2016A, and I see Susan just went right to the podium, so I'll let her talk.
That's fine.
Thanks for
We took, well, as she's passing this out, we had our bid opening at 11 a.m. this morning, and we received 8 bids, which she'll go through. Very, very good bid and very positive.
Yes, Suzanne Gerlach with Public Financial Management. I come with good news. As Laura mentioned, we went to market today for some projects as part of the FY16 CIP and received 8 bids ranging from 0.75% to the high bid was 1.66%. The winning bid actually came from one of the city's local banks, from United Bank of Iowa. It's a very short issuance. As you know, you completed a pre-levy last year to include these bonds in the FY15-16 budget, and you just recently are in the process of approving a pre-levy for FY17 for the next year's CIP projects. So the bonds mature June 1st, 2016, which isn't very far away, through June 1st, 2018. The total amount we went to market with was $915,000 in general obligation capital loan notes, and after receiving the final pricing from United Bank of Iowa, we have resized that down to $910,000. We did not need all of the bonds. So what we call the cover bid came from Hutchison, Shockey, Early and Company, who is an underwriting firm out of Chicago, Illinois. And there was one other local bank that participated, Carroll State Bank participated with Northland Securities.
That would be Carroll County State Bank.
And
Oh,
that's not
Carroll
listed
County
on
State
here?
Bank, sorry.
County State Bank.
On the
Very
back.
last one.
On the back.
County State Bank, okay. And we received final pricing that was 30 basis points, 0.3% over the AAA MMD scale that was released today. So for issuing non-rated bonds, that's very,
pretty good.
very good pricing, excellent pricing. The market remains excellent. I know that there was some debate on when to come forward with these projects. There was, I think, some delay in receiving bids for these projects. We waited till the projects were bid, which I think was a wise move by the city. Some of the projects came in under budget, so that was good news. And now we are just putting financing in place to wrap up some of those projects. We did, United Bank of Iowa, for those of you that were here in 2014, as a local bank, they are not DTC registered. So we have started adding provisions to the official statement to allow them to waive book entry. If you remember, we talked about that in 2014. We give bidders the option to either select book entry, which is what a normal underwriter would do to make them book entry only, or to waive that and just get paper certificates, like your local bank would prefer. So we have allowed for both types of bidders to bid on the city's bonds by making that change to the legal provisions. And of course, I wrote that language and got confirmation from bond counsel that everything was okay. And I think that is, so actually after resizing, the final true interest cost on the bonds is 0.75%. And the total interest, the total net interest to be paid is $7,212 on $910,000 of bonds. Excellent. Yes, excellent. So I just hope the market holds when we come back later this year.
And you are taking credit for all of this?
Oh, no. Thank you, China. Big marble. We're struggling for a stable global economy and for a flight to quality. We will take it. And, you know, I will say that we do benefit from a very stable state economy. So the state of Iowa, there are not a lot of issuers across the nation that receive the pricing benefit that we do in the state of Iowa as an unrated credit. So we have to give a little kudos to being in a great place to live.
That's true.
Suzanne, I have just one question.
Sure.
How do these banks learn that we want to borrow money? Where does that, I just don't understand the process. It seems like, I mean, we get 8 bids, why don't we get 800? Where do they learn about it?
Well, so we actually, in Carroll, you have very active local banks, so we actually maintain what I call just a distribution list, where we actually call.
So you contact them?
Yes. Yeah, me and my staff, we call all of the local banks, we tell them the city's gonna be going out for borrowing. We try to get it done a little bit earlier because they need a little extra time than some of the underwriters who do this every day. So we actually reach out to, I think, how many were there, Laura, 7, 6? 6 local banks that we actually talked to and said, hey, the city is going to be borrowing money. Are you interested? Please let us know directly. We've given you the provisions you need to be able to bid directly. Or they also have correspondent banking networks that they can participate through, which is what Carroll County State Bank did to partner with an underwriter. The other 2 banking kind of we call them correspondent banks, are Bankers Bank out of Madison, Wisconsin. We see they bid very aggressively. They were the third bidder today, which surprises me. Usually they're at the top of the list. And UMB Bank out of Kansas City, Missouri. Those are the two largest correspondent banking networks in the state of Iowa. And then Hutchison Shockey is an underwriter. They partner with a firm in Des Moines, sometimes called DM Kelly. And D.A. Davidson is out of Denver, Colorado. Let's see. And First National Capital Markets is actually a new bidder. They called me. They are a correspondent banking network in Nebraska that is looking to be more active in the state of Iowa. So they called me and we had an hour-long discussion about Iowa and what opportunities they have. So they have been an active bidder in the bank qualified market. And Bernardi Securities and Northland Securities are two other underwriters that we work with regularly in our network. In addition to calling the local banks, as PFM, we have a kind of what I would call just a network that we work with. We put it on Bloomberg, so the city's bonds are advertised on Bloomberg. It's put on the Parity website, which a lot of bidders use to submit their bid electronically. We also, it goes on the bond buyer calendar. The bond buyer is kind of the New York Times of the municipal bond market, and so it does get published every time that we are going to have a competitive sale. It will be published in the competitive calendar. So everybody that we know of in our little municipal bond world knows that the city of Carroll is issuing bonds and when they're going to be issuing them.
Is this the lowest one you've ever seen?
It is the lowest interest rate I've ever seen. And, you know, I've done some short-term 2-year bands and nope, not 0.75, tremendous pricing. And honestly, to get 8 bids, the city of Des Moines doesn't normally get 8 bids. So very, very high competition. And I think we've talked about before, if you look at the amounts bid, the interest rates bid, the TIC, very close together, which is indicative of strong competition. So you always have a few up front and a few in behind, but if you look at the pack in the middle, that just tells you there was strong competition for the city's bonds today. And, you know, the city does have a strong Moody's underlying credit, which helps, I think, with the pricing, even though we didn't request a rating. The bonds were not long enough to recover paying a rating fee. It's about, I think it's $12,000 for a Moody's fee for under $1 million. And we didn't even pay $12,000 in interest. So there was no way to recover that fee in interest rate savings, so.
0.75% will give you your answer on why there isn't 800 banks bidding on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions from? Congratulations, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
excellent.
thank you.
Okay. The receipt of bids and approval of the resolution, they need to be two separate? You do it all
No,
in one?
it's all in one.
I'll need a motion for acceptance of the receipt of bids and approval of the attached resolution directing the sale of $915,000 general obligation capital loan notes Series 2016A for the Rec Center Weight Room Improvements Project, the Street Rehab 2015 project, and the purchase of a street sweeper.
Should that be amended to 910?
No, you received bids on $915,000,
Okay.
so as is until you put out pricing resolution.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Benami?
Yes.
Days? Yes. Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll move on to reports, and our first report is the Water Supply Wells and Transmission Main Improvements Project, and I think Randy will take this one.
You bet, I will. We have proposed change order number 2 for the water well project. We did encounter some conditions during construction that precipitated this change order, and in general terms, there are 3 parts to it. First is the deletion of the permanent seating and the temporary erosion control. We have been in discussions with Carroll County Conservation Board. They've offered to seed this with their equipment and manpower. Will probably have a little cost of seed, but it will be put in native prairie grass. So we've taken it, this change order takes it out of the contract, and it'll be done separately. So there may be a little expense later, but it'll be outside this contract. The second is the addition of an electrical disconnect that in the end was required by the electric service provider to be placed ahead of the meter at a cost of about $2,800. And the third is an extension of contract time. There was a delay in issuing the notice to proceed. When this contract started, we did proceed through bids and contract award to get pricing, and then there was quite an extended delay before DNR permitting was approved. And that, coupled with a relatively wet year, which there were some days above and beyond normal that were attributed to wet weather, accumulated to a total of 104 days. So that this change order includes the extension of the contract an additional 104 days. And that puts the completion date, I believe, at March 23rd.
That's what your memo
Yes,
says.
March 23rd. So with those, the impact of the change orders then on the contract price results in a current contract with this change order of $1,176,011.73, a reduction from the bid price, and an extension of time from November 30th through the two change orders to March 23rd of 2016. Unless there are any questions, I'd recommend approval of the change order.
Move that we approve the change order number 2 to the Group B water supply well project.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Bays? Yes. Cox?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Thank you. Our second report is on the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget and to set a public hearing date. Laura?
Yes. Well, after our council budget work sessions, a couple changes were made in the information that was originally presented in the fiscal 2016 re-estimated budget. $10,000 was added to the hotel motel tax fund for the Carroll Young Professionals funding request, as well as in the fiscal 27 budget, we removed the recreation center locker rooms project adjusted for that year. So attached to the memo is the actual state forms that would be filed. I took our binder, I see some of you have your binders, took all that information and condensed it into these forms. The first page, I'll just run through a couple pages real quick, which I think are very important. The very first page of the report is what we call the certification of the tax levy, which is set at $11.57 per 1,000 of taxable valuation. And then a good summary page towards the back. The page is actually called Adopted Budget Summary. Basically, it takes what we're adopting for our fiscal 17 budget and then in a little bit more detailed compared to the final two columns, which is the re-estimated 2016 numbers and then our actual 2015 numbers where we ended our fiscal 2015. I think that's a really good summary page if you want to kind of get a little bit of a, I don't know if you want to say history or a trend of what's going on or what's being planned and proposed. And then the very last page is the notice of the public hearing, and that is what will be published in the paper.
Just that page.
Just that page, yes. But everything else is open for review. The budget book has been in the library since the beginning of February. That's been updated, and there's a copy down in City Hall as well for public inspection. If there are no questions, I'm recommending that we set March 7, which is a special council meeting date, for the date of our public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Bays? Yes. Benami?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you again. Finally, our third report is sale of the surplus city property, and since the chief is not available, Gerald will speak on this one, please.
Chief is playing grandpa, and he's very happy to do that. So we will excuse him for that purpose. He brings to you the offer or the proposal that we would dispose of the compressor that was replaced by the FEMA grant with some funds from the city. And because we have a policy that says he's anticipating that it will bring more than 1,000, it may not. We'll see what the market will bear. We have to meet that policy, therefore he's asking that we use this process of sealed bids as it was no warranty expressed or implied with a minimum bid of $2,000. And he would ask that you motion to dispose of the surplus HP 6000 high pressure breathing air compressor by sealed bids.
Figure out with this being such a specialty piece of equipment, probably some other fire departments would be interested, so what happens if you don't get bids on something like this? Okay.
We've talked about that. In our wild ideas, we say eBay, but we probably won't use eBay. But something of that nature, so that you get it out to other people who have maybe some specialized interests that we don't know about. We'll see. If it doesn't exceed those, he will go to other departments that he's aware of, and they have publications that they use, and they have, I think, some internet connections that they have with this also.
Do you have a reason you wouldn't want to use eBay? Just
We have not, and the payment sometimes is where you get in. Yeah. I'm not going to make any comments about PayPal, but I'm going to tell you that I've not used PayPal except on one occasion. Wouldn't say it was bad, wouldn't say it was good. I just say we are not familiar with that, and we probably at this point will not choose to use PayPal, unless you believe that that's something we ought to do. We're more interested in the check being good or the payment being good than in disposing of the property.
So if we wouldn't get bids, then does it need to come forward to us again for further action to get rid of it, or?
He will report. We'll make sure he reports.
Would he have offered this to other departments around the area before this?
I think he's chatted. I don't know
Okay.
what the conversations
Okay.
have been.
All right.
He's very judicious at what he does.
Well,
so.
yeah. Any other questions about the surplus property? If not, I'll need a motion to dispose of the surplus property HP 6000 high-pressure breathing air compressor by sealed bids.
So moved.
second.
There's a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Base?
Yep.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Has everyone had a chance to review the committee reports and monthly activity reports? Any questions with regards to those? I would just like to thank everybody again tonight, and thank everybody again also for all the time we spent on the budget and making time available so we get that done in a timely and orderly fashion. Thank you again. Any comments from the council?
Is there anything that we should be doing from now until the 14th to, as far as with what Moen presented and what is there anything we should be doing? I know you guys are putting together something for the 14th. Is there anything that we can be looking into, anything that we can?
If you have
reach out to
suggestions, if you would bring them to me as to how you would like to have some things to be included in the report, I will consider those. Well, I'm going to work with what I think are the basic steps of how you get through this. And until we get to that level, there's probably, you're the policymakers and you can direct the process. But I would suggest to you that we'll gather the information, what we consider the basic information that needs to be done so that we can move to another level, which would bring you to a point of saying, yes, we will, no, we won't, or yes, we will with these contingencies. And it appears that there's a lot of contingencies that we have to work through.
ADA compliance, is that one of the things we have to look at?
That's why you would hire someone to review the building.
I'll express the concern that I had, was that unless there is an elevator in that building, there's a lot of space in the basement that we will not be able to use.
Well, as far as public access, within our staff, I don't think ADA requirements requires that. If no one's required to be there, Greg's not here tonight. Randy knows a little bit about ADA, but maybe not about that. We'll explore those things.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be looked at.
Correct.
It wouldn't necessarily have to be an elevator, but some way to get.
Suppose you can get an escalator, but
No, you could get a chairlift, possibly would qualify. That'd be a good question.
Right, that's what I mean.
Is that enough? Because
What
those
is
would be
it- what is it?
much less expensive, so.
what would be required?
Those would be
Right.
things that would be explored by someone who examines the building to tell you what you need to do.
Correct.
Yeah, and on the surface, I mean, I'm extremely excited about this. I mean, it's a good compromise that we've been asked from the community, but it's a good way for us to look at this thing as a possibility of moving forward. And with an offer of $1 million building, that's a good step in the right direction.
I concur.
Absolutely.
This is hugely exciting. Thank you to the bank and the family for considering such a generous offer.
I'd just like to put on the record to thank the bank for all their past support to the community and the fact that they've committed to a future here as well by improving themselves, which improves our entire city and making themselves more visible to the community. And I just appreciate what they've done in the past for us and their statements today. I'm glad that they thought of us, but mainly I'm just glad that they're intending to stay in Carroll. I don't know if you're so happy about that.
Competition is good.
Competition isn't one thing. You're right.
Misty, did you want to make?
I was just going to share with the council.
Yeah.
I went a couple weeks ago with Gerald down to Templeton to the county city roundtable discussion, and that's a first for me. And I just wanted to share with you folks. You've probably been, but I found it really interesting. One of my main goals starting here was to get networking and to get communicating with people across, I mean, all levels, city, county, whatever it might be, businesses. And it was fun to be able to sit and talk with them about the progress that we see going on all over, not just, here, but in all the surrounding counties. And knowing that the fun is good, but sometimes the bad happens, and we're not the only ones that experience it. So it was nice to be able to hear people talk about, the downfalls that happen too, and how do we get around those, and how can we help each other get through those things. So it's nice to have those connections. And I would just say it would be great if more of us could go to those together. I felt like it was a really good thing. And I will also say, I'm really for stuff moving along and making decisions and seeing some things happen here. And one of the things that really took me off guard, but I was really excited to hear, is Manning. Manning was there, and they were telling us how they had a 5-year plan, and they have completed everything in 2.5 to 3 years, and they're looking for new projects. And I just think that is so awesome. And I really do hope that when we get together and start talking about our stuff in August and the fall here, that we can make some aggressive choices too and get a lot of good things on board for what we're going to try to get moving. And I don't know, I don't think we can compete with them, but I think it'd be fun to try. So just to encourage you all to attend. I think it would be fun to maybe get together a little more often. So.
Barbecues?
Yeah.
Next one is, I think, in Glidden, isn't it? Coon Rapids?
No, Coon Rapids.
Okay.
And then Breda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Haley?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Benami?
Yes.
Bates?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes?
We are adjourned.